This is Pod Populi.
Podcast for the people.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
Hi again, everyone. It's Brian Howie. Welcome to The Great Love Debate, the world's #1 dating and relationship podcast since 2015. So I bumped back an episode that I wanted to do, and then I'm still going to do, probably next week, because I wanted to talk about something else today, and that's something you can do if you have a podcast. It's absolutely glorious. Grab a mic, got something to say, get to say it. Hopefully somebody listens to it. And I know I just did a solo episode a few shows back, and I don't like to put those too close to one another, but Craig from Seattle wrote in and said, among many other things that we will definitely get to in a podcast coming up soon, he said, no one else does a solo podcast like you can somehow. And I have a big ego, so I'm going to search for the compliment in there. Also because I'm an optimist. And an optimist with a big ego can get pretty far in this world. Anyway, so here's what I want to get into. So a couple episodes ago, we spoke a bit about cancel culture and how someone might make a mistake or might have said the wrong thing or have had an unpopular opinion from recent history or even their distant past. And especially if they're famous, they're forced into a sort of a paint-by-numbers response. And these things, at least in Hollywood, they're actually very carefully scripted, and they're put into motion by their management team and their PR team. It's crisis management in that world. First, you write a public apology, say this is not a reflection of who I am, vow to do better, claim you're learning from the experience. You may seek counseling, you may go to rehab, step away from things for a while, et cetera, yada, yada. And I'm not here to put down those people or to criticize that approach. The wrong words can absolutely ruin a career, and sometimes the right words or actions can save it. So you might be thinking, what does that have to do with relationships? Well, in a nutshell, I think apologies really matter. So much more than we think and so much more than we tend to think about. Elton John, back in the day, sang, "Sorry seems to be the hardest word." Remember that song? And then he said, it's a sad, sad situation. Well, he's right, because it is. Whether it's I'm sorry or I apologize or I was wrong or I wish I didn't do this or that or the other or said what I shouldn't have or did something I didn't mean, any of it, all of it. It has such value because all of what you're sorry for probably did such damage, and all of what you can do to undo said damage, if not repair it, that has value. Has a lot of value. So I got a message about, 6 months ago. I got a message via Messenger. How long was that focus group? What should we call this app to send messages? How about Messenger? Got it. Done. Was that a 5-second thing, or do they kick around a few other ideas? Anyway, sorry, tangent. About 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, I got a message from a guy, and I didn't recognize the name. And it simply said, "I'm sorry." And that's a weird thing to get from what I thought was ostensibly a stranger. What were they sorry for? Why were they sorry? Am I even the right person they're sending us to? So I simply said, for what? And so he answered, and he said, 25 years ago, him, were in a bar. There was some sort of fight. Chairs and bar stools were thrown. I was literally an innocent bystander. And I got clocked in the face. And it shattered just about every bone in my face. Orbitals, nose, cheekbones. I started bleeding inside my head. I had surgery. I spent weeks in the hospital. My head was swollen for a long, long time. You think my head's swollen now? My head was swollen then. I almost died. And I'm not sure what exactly happened or why it happened to this day. I remember I got kicked out of the bar for bleeding, and I drove myself to the hospital, and I never completely recovered. And I still don't have all the feeling in my forehead or in the right side of my face. And I never really knew why that happened to me or how it happened. It's, it's a blur and it's a long time ago. But apparently this stranger who messaged me did. And he said, "I'm sorry." And then he said, "I regret that day. I can't tell you how sorry I am." Now, I didn't know the guy even knew my name or what he did, but I was more interested in why, after all these years, and probably like 25 years, I was young, he tracked me down and said those words. And I honestly didn't care. I messaged back, "I respect and accept the apology, and I appreciate it." It didn't trigger anger in me. I wasn't like, "Man, how good looking would I be if I didn't get my face shattered?" I'm good. I'm fine. My mother used to look at me sad, like I didn't look as good as I did, but what am I going to do? I turned out okay. Life happens. Could be worse. But what the message triggered in me was the curiosity. What made him reach out and say sorry after all these years? Did he see me somewhere publicly and he's like, "Oh, wait, I think that's the guy"? Was he in a 12-step program? And if he was this some sort of combo platter of step 8 and step 9 where you're both making amends and asking forgiveness? I think that's what those two are. And then how did I make that list? How many other people were on his list if I was 25 years ago? I was really young. He must have been really young. I barely, honestly, thought about the actual incident. How much did he think about it? I don't even know what he knew about that. I really didn't know what happened. I didn't know the guy. I didn't know anything, other than I was really badly hurt. Had he done something much worse in the interim? So I thought it took some balls to reach out, not knowing me or my reaction, or how I'd feel about it. I totally appreciate that. Would I have had the same guts? I don't know. And I'm not sure the other person would always have the same reaction, but my reaction was like, wow, geez. So I thought about the same kind of things for me. And if I had to make a similar list and go through the people who probably not necessarily need an apology out of me, but probably deserve or want to hear the words, how long would that list be? Would the list be almost entirely women? I don't know. Probably. I've gotten really good, or at least a lot better, at accepting responsibility and working on flaws and owning what I do wrong now or recently. But what about before? What about back then? What about pre-2015 Brian Howie, So I received an email from an ex a few years ago, and it said, "I realize how difficult being with me must have been for you. I really appreciate you and all you must have gone through, and I'm sorry for that." And I wanted to take that email and frame it and hang it on the wall, but not really for the right reasons. I wanted to be like, aha, I was right. She was crazy. I wasn't wrong for feeling that way. She was difficult. And that probably wasn't the right reaction. I really should have looked at it and thought, what was the trigger to suddenly randomly said that? And how hard was it for her to write that and actually hit send? And did she even want a response? And I didn't respond because I didn't know what to say, because I had so many questions in the moment that would have sort of diminished the act of her sending it. I wanted to know too much. I wasn't capable of just accepting the apology and saying thank you or I hear you. I wanted to know too much, so I didn't answer, which also probably was not the right response. But I thought about why she sent it. And I think that's the part that matters, the why. And the why of the actions that led to that in the first place. Not why did you do it, but why are you apologizing? And I think it's not about forgiveness, although that is, a really nice side benefit. And it's not about guilt, though you definitely should have it and are probably experiencing it. It's about acknowledging a pattern of behavior. And that is how looking backwards into this stuff and your actions can benefit you positively moving forward. Always moving forward here at the GLD. So I'm going to move forward with a little bit more of this and explore it a bit more. But I do got to take a quick break. So we will be back right after this. And we are back. So when you think about going on this apology tour, much of it is going to have to be on paper or in your head, because not everybody needs your apology. Not everybody wants your apology. Not everybody's going to openly and readily accept your apology. And most importantly, not everybody wants to hear from you at all in any context, much less for an apology. They fucking hate you, and they're probably right to do so. So because, again, we're framing this in the context of relationships, though like everything, it could probably work for anything. Start by listing out the people who you think might deserve an apology. People you were in a relationship with, or people who you at least went on a date with. People you had some interaction with a romantic context. And once more, this is not about if they want it or if you will actually give it. It's about deserving it. Okay? Does this person deserve an apology? And it will be a long list. I don't care what an angel you think you've been, no matter who you are or what you think of your merits as a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, first date, last date, whatever. Anybody you said the wrong thing to, or didn't do the right thing with, or made feel bad, or didn't react correctly to, weren't there for, all of it, any of it, just make a list. Because there's huge value in simply making the list. Not only will you see names and actions and times, periods of your life, you'll see inactions, and you're going to start to find patterns. These are the ones I was just flat out mean to. These are the ones I didn't communicate well with. These are the ones I actually betrayed or were dishonest with, or who I knowingly and willingly hurt. And then over here, you're going to have, these are the ones I simply wasn't present for. These are the ones who didn't get the best of me. I was too busy for. I did this, I did that. These are the ones I didn't listen to. And in doing this, you will automatically start to think about some of the why. Why did you do this? Why did you act this way? Why did I say that? And there is always benefit in examining the why. Can the why drive you nuts because you don't get the answers? Probably, but there's benefit in examining it. And then you have to look at, what is my relationship, if any, with this person now? Do you still talk? Are you social media contacts? Do you follow each other on IG? Are you Facebook friends? Are you occasional happy birthday? Hope you're doing well. Are you seeing them every Tuesday in divorce court? Have you never heard from them again and don't even think of them? I don't know. And you think, and then you need to think about, how did I leave off with them? Was there something more to be said? Was there something left unfinished? And there almost always is if you left. And you know we don't believe in closure around here. We've done so many episodes on the danger of looking for that because it doesn't really ever exist, at least not how you want it to. But there something you can do to heal the hurt for that person who you did hurt? And in many cases, probably most cases, the best way to heal the hurt is to leave it alone, which is why it should simply end with writing it down, thinking about it, learning from it, and moving on from it. So you have to look at your list of actions and your list of recipients of those actions. And then you got to think, well, who might really actually benefit from an apology? And that answer should never be you. And that's why a lot of people are not that readily to accept apology. They think that you want them to wave their wand and relieve you. You want them to relieve you of your guilt. Okay? Apologizing to make yourself feel better, absolve yourself of the guilt is never the purpose of this or any exercise. But if there was someone that you so frustrated, or you made them feel like they were crazy, or they were an innocent victim of the very worst part or time of you and your existence, I think you think about dropping that line. I don't think you want to make it a conversation. I don't think